In the afternoon of July the 10th, 2009, the second acting class of 2007 of the Anhui Huangmei Opera School was rehearsing an opera called Goodbye at the Hotel. Among all Huangmei operas, Goodbye at the Hotel is the biggest test of the actor's singing. For that day's rehearsal, the lead actress was a 15-year-old girl named Wang Shuilin, and she was playing the main female character Liu Fengying, a waitress at a restaurant. 54 years ago, another 15-year-old girl became famous overnight in Anqing City because of her performance in the role of Liu Fengying. That girl's name was Yan Hongliu. September the 20th, 1945 was the traditional Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. The famous Cardon photography studio had just finished redecoration and was ready to open again. Meanwhile, in a place named Sanbu Liangqiao in the city, there was a Jiang Manchuan restaurant that did superb business. It was famous for its delicious dumplings. The owner's name was Jiang, but as he had an unusual tuft of hair growing on his cheek, his restaurant was nicknamed Hairy Dumplings. These dumplings were not the jiaos that are popular in northern China, but were huanduan, as they were known in Shanghai. 11 days before, in Nanjing, 350 kilometers away from Anqing, the Chinese government had formally accepted Japan's unconditional surrender. After 8 years of harsh fighting, the war of resistance against Japanese aggression was ended with China's victory. The KMT government was preparing to resume office in its old capital, Nanjing. As the war ended, many refugees from outlying areas began making their way home. The docks and big cities along the Yangtze River were crowded with people. People were desperate to get home as quickly as possible. Some even preferred to beg their way home rather than miss a family reunion on the first mid-autumn day after the war. After the Mid-Autumn Festival, the West Gate dock of Anqing City was overcrowded. This area had been where the Japanese Navy was stationed. Now amongst the crowds there were not only passengers but businessmen, vendors, returning refugees, veterans, wounded soldiers on crutches, and officials who had come to take over the possessions of the Japanese army. Nobody noticed 15-year-old Yan Hongliu among the crowd.
一个小女孩子，很普普通通的，布鞋子都很旧啊，那是非常非常的这个道地的，农村的一个乡下丫头，就进了这个安庆城。
Nobody could have anticipated that this ordinary-looking country girl would one day become a star that the people of Anqing would go crazy about. With just a small suitcase, she re-entered Anqing City, her birthplace, by Bagua Gate or West Gate. Meanwhile, at the airport outside Anqing City, the number 6 and number 131 divisions of the Japanese army were ready to be checked in by the Chinese army. Both the Chinese army and the Chinese people of the city were overwhelmed with the celebration of their victory.
抗战胜利不久嘛，那么日本人残留的一些东西，像日本人一些商号啊，像一些广告啊，还残留着在。另外一个方面呢，安庆呢正处于一种振兴复苏的这种局面。 那么，像安徽的一些省直机关啊，这个内迁到安地，这个安徽大学呢也内迁到安庆，再加上一些商号，像这个酒楼啊、茶楼啊、旅馆啊，还有一些大的商号啊，纷纷的开张。
Even though post-war Anqing was dilapidated, it was still quite prosperous and fashionable compared with the countryside. Born in the countryside, Yan Hongliu had already studied Huangmei song for 2 years. What she needed now was an opera troupe ready to take her in. In the end, she was admitted by the Gonghe Huangmei Opera troupe. The leading actor of the troupe was Changji Shan, who had once taught Yan Hongliu. Ding Yongchuan also worked for the troupe and was responsible for opera-related affairs. Moreover, the famous opera actors Zhang Xiaozhou, Pan Zehai, and Tan Xuehua were also part of the troupe. "64 years ago, at the place where the Anqing Workers' Cultural Palace and the Bank of Commerce are now located, there used to be a social theatre. The older generation called it the Thatched Hut, and it was the place where the Gonghe troupe first performed after the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression had ended."
抗战胜利以后啊，这个安庆人呢，再把这个新亚公园里面日本人为安庆维持会会长立的一个德政碑，把它掀掉了，然后呢，在此呢建了一个草屋剧场。草屋剧场呢是很简陋的，它以这个风景亭为台，立木为柱，这个编草为棚，这个编席为这个壁。这样的话呢，这个地方呢，也不是很大，大概有600人左右。这个草棚呢，这个因为呢它是处在安庆市最繁华的地方。所以呢，他的演出啊，这个加上票价又很低，所以演出呢非常的火爆。他呢后来就实际上成为安庆市大众戏迷这个消费的一个地方。
At the time, the only costumes Yan Hongliu had in her possession were 2 accordion-pleated skirts, one red and the other white. They were actually the grave clothes used for her grandmother. When she was first admitted to the Gonghe Opera troupe, she was given a room without a window next to the dressing room of the social theatre. At the time, there were very few female actors in the troupe. To protect them from any sexual offence, the lower half of the back door to the room was sealed, while the upper half was used as a window. The room was separated into 2 parts with a piece of rough cloth. Yan Hongliu's bed was by the back door. Tan Xuehua wrote in his memoir, Huangmei, My Only Love, about his first conversation with Yan Hongliu. I asked her who she had studied opera from. She replied that when she was a child, she loved to sing mountain songs when herding the pigs, or she would sing from Gathering the Pig Fodder. Then she heard others sing Huangmei song and she found it beautiful, so she began to imitate them. Yan Hongliu said, "At the age of 13, I secretly became a student of Mr. Yan Yungao, a Huangmei opera actor of the Yan clan. But later, the clan hall of the Yan family found out about it and sent people to seize me and to drown me in the pond. My tutor helped me to escape to Mr. Changji Shan's opera troupe." Weijia Alley, not far from the social theatre, was Yan Hongliu's birthplace, as well as the place where Ding Yongchuan made his debut performance at a private celebration in Nanjing City. After Yan Hongliu was born, her grandparents established Liancheng Hotel in Nanjing City, and she and her family lived there for 6 years. But later, Liancheng Hotel went broke, and she and her family were forced to leave Anqing for their hometown of Luojialing in Tongchang County. In the Qing dynasty, Tongchang was famous for literature. The renowned Tongchang School of Literature was established in the town some 200 years ago. The precise and profound prose of the Tongchang School reformed the style of literature of the time.
滋润边，莫过不瓦滋润坤，莫过不喜滋润北，莫过不然滋润昏，滋润昏。韭菜不吹滋润边，大葱不挖滋润坤，萝卜不洗滋润北。
Having settled for less than 3 days, Yan Hongliao was made ready for her debut program, as per the arrangement of the opera troupe.
跑戏就是一个演员到一个新的地方或者新一个台口去演出，头3天的剧目叫做跑戏。这个跑戏呢，就是哪时候好戏。
The owner of the opera troupe and Tan Shuhua, who was responsible for taking care of Yan Hongliao, helped her decide on her debut program for her first 3 days of performance. Tan Shuhua wrote in his memoir about how they made the decision. I said, she only knows 3.5 feature operas. This is the first time she'll perform in Anqing. It's such a rush. She'd better perform some mini operas. Everybody thought my advice was sound, so we decided she would perform the immortal Lu Dongbing thrice-angered white peony, advice to her sister-in-law, and delivering fragrant tea. The Gunghe troupe was not the only troupe performing opera in Anqing early after the victory of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression. There were another 3 Huangmei Opera troupes and 3 Peking opera troupes in Anqing city. All of them were professional troupes that had toured across China. Everybody in opera circles agreed that Anqing was the challenging dock for opera performers. As the first big city the Yangtze River runs past in its downstream section, Anqing was considered the throat of the Yangtze River. Therefore, various opera troupes saw Anqing as an important stop in their tour. Peking opera had long been popular in Anqing. Numerous Huangmei opera artists saw performing in Anqing as a critical step in their career development. Modern dramas were popular among well-educated people, while film was the most popular form of entertainment. At the time, there were more than 8 theatres with official licenses in the city of Anqing. At the time, Yan Hongliao had studied Huangmei opera for less than 3 years, and she had learnt only 3.5 feature operas and just over a dozen mini-operas by heart. She had appeared in operas before in minor roles, and even as an extra when performing with troops in Luojialing, Liantan, and other villages. Nobody could predict what would become of her after her debut performance in Anqing city. However, after the posters advertising her debut program were put up, tickets seemed to sell quickly, and that was a good sign. Tan Shuhua wrote in his memoir, at the time, Ding Cuixia was the only female actor to play Dan roles. After the posters were put up, the audience knew that there was a new female actor for Dan roles, and they began to fight for the tickets. The tickets for the 3 days of performance were sold out within half a day. But of course, the higher the expectations of the audience, the bigger the pressure for the opera troupe. Everybody knew the saying that a single Dan actor can support a whole troupe. As the Dan actors were so important, if Yan Hongliao's debut performances failed, it would affect the business of the entire opera troupe. Three days later, Yan Hongliao appeared on the stage of the thatched hut in Anqing. The curtains were drawn open for her entry into theatrical life. After that, a new opera star found her place under the spotlight.
提到头啊，手举梅花枪一根，长坂坡 草百万兵，怀抱阿斗登龙位，踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏踏，他可算得金宝啊！
Tan Shuhua would never forget how successful Yan Hongliu's debut performance was in Anqing in 1945. Constant applause from the audience almost lifted up the thatch of the hut. My wife standing next to me was astounded. The audience held deep appreciation, praise and approval for this good-looking girl with her beautiful voice. Her first appearance in Anqing was a huge success. In the summer of 1946, the whole of Anqing city was overwhelmed with the rising Huangmei Opera star. She had to perform in 3 theatres every day, and she had to take a rickshaw to run between the Golden Stage Theatre, Victory Theatre, and Wanzhong Stage Theatre. She was now known as Yan Fang Ying, and the feature opera she performed on a daily basis was Goodbye at the Hotel. The main female character in Goodbye at the Hotel was named Liu Fangying. Because of her excellent performance in Liu Fangying's role, Yan Hongliu finally took the name Yan Fangying. One year before, Yan Hongliu's free-sounding countryside singing style and natural performance had impressed the audiences of Anqing. After victory in the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, the Wanzhong Stage Theatre and Golden Stage Theatre were restored to business, and the Gonghe Opera Troupe moved from the thatched hut to the Golden Stage Theatre. By then, Yan Hongliu was already the leading Dan actor of the opera troupe. In order to attract a greater audience, the opera troupe programmed their performances differently from day to day. This forced Yan Hongliu to learn new operas every day, but among all the operas she learnt, she was particularly in love with Goodbye at the Hotel. Goodbye at the Hotel was an adaptation of Tale of a Cooking Knife, one of the 36 feature operas of the Huangmei tradition. It tells of the love between Cai Mingfang, a married man, and Liu Fangying, a married woman. As her husband is addicted to gambling and neglects his business, Liu Fangying has to take full charge of the hotel. Travelling for business purposes, young businessman Cai Mingfang checks into the hotel, and the two fall in love with each other at first sight. At the end of the story, Cai Mingfang goes home only to be murdered by his wife and her lover. As the murder is taking place, a thief breaks into Cai's house and witnesses the murder, and his testimony brings final justice in court. But when the news of the murder arrives, Liu Fangying commits suicide in the river. The original script was filled with pornographic and violent scenes.
这个戏前半部是这个第三者插奏，后头又能理解小偷这个为打算，最后出现了凶杀，所以这个戏要禁演，因为它宣传了奸杀，是吧？另外还有一个循环报应，欺人欺者，欺其人必欺之。
直到1945年抗日战争胜利以后，在当时普天同庆的情况下，国民政府对黄梅戏采取了宽松的态度，允许他们进城演出。
In early Huangmei opera troupes there was a saying, "Goodbye at the Hotel is a woman's worst nightmare." In other words, this was the most challenging opera for Dan actors. The main character, Liu Fangying, has a singing scene with over 320 sentences. It lasts an hour without any break. With the repetition of the same melody, the scene was to reveal the complicated feelings between Liu Fangying and Cai Mingfang. It is a huge test of the actor's capacity to sing. In the Gonghe opera troupe there was another Dan actor. His name was Zhang Xiaozhou. He was one of the very few who could sing Goodbye at the Hotel really well. Back then, if the audience ordered an opera, the opera troupe could have no reason to refuse. As Goodbye at the Hotel was the most frequently ordered opera, Zhang Xiaozhou had to sing for long hours all the time. Finally, he exhausted his voice. But the audience kept on ordering this opera.
《小词典》为什么这么风靡人？主要是它的这个内容，它的唱词能吸引人。
特别是妇女，农村会看的，可能觉得自己买卖婚姻、包办婚姻这过来了，不幸福，看着想着就淌眼泪。
In Goodbye at the Hotel, there were bold love scenes. These were a great attraction to the audience on the one hand, but frequently got the opera troupe into trouble because of government censorship on the other, as the opera was labelled erotic opera. However, for survival purposes, many opera troupes performed this opera in order to attract larger audiences. When Zhang Xiaozhou lost his voice, nobody came to buy tickets, and this made everybody worried. But at this moment, Yan Hongliu offered to perform in Goodbye at the Hotel. In a biography about Yan Hongliu published in 1985, her husband Wang Guanya wrote, "The head of the troupe asked Zhang Xiaozhou, 'Have you taught her Goodbye in the Hotel?' Zhang Xiaozhou said, 'No.' Yan Hongliu immediately said, 'I did learn it from Mr. Zhang.' Zhang Xiaozhou was surprised. 'When did I teach you that?' Yan Hongliu smiled and said, 'When you were singing on the stage, I was learning off the stage.' Previously, Yan Hongliu had asked Zhang Xiaozhou to teach her this opera, but she had been turned down. Zhang Xiaozhou was simply afraid that such an opera would get the girl into serious trouble. Goodbye at the Hotel and its original story, Tale of a Cooking Knife, had been banned again and again, but it had never truly stopped. After the founding of New China, some opera artists tried to revise it to make it suitable for public performance.
小词典这个戏的话呢，看到年丰演出的话，没有人讲不好的小词典；看到剧本的话呢，没有人讲这个剧本好。啊，我们改不好这个戏。
In Chronicles of Chinese Folk Opera's Anhui edition, we find the following. As Goodbye at the Hotel was full of killing and pornographic scenes, after the founding of New China, all the opera troupes voluntarily stopped rehearsing it. It was this opera that made Yan Hongliu a big opera star, but it was the same opera that eventually became her downfall. In the late 1950s, because she had performed Goodbye at the Hotel, she was accused of poisoning the minds of the workers, peasants, and soldiers. Yan Hongliu wanted to learn to sing Goodbye at the Hotel desperately. After being turned down by Zhang Xiaozhou, she decided to study in secret. She watched Zhang Xiaozhou perform, trying to memorize every move, every melody, and every word. In order to hide it from others, she practiced deep in the night. Nobody knew that Yan Hongliu had learned the entire Goodbye at the Hotel by heart soon after she joined the opera troupe. But as she had never rehearsed it, almost no one believed that she would be able to perform it well. At the time, the opera troupe couldn't even sell one ticket due to the cancellation of Goodbye at the Hotel, and the head of the opera troupe was very worried. More than 40 years later, Yan Hongliu's husband Wang Guanya wrote in the biography of his wife. The head of the opera troupe glanced over Hongliu and Xiaozhou. Then he shut his eyes for about 5 seconds. Finally, he said, as if he had made a big decision, "Yes." Hongliu jumped for joy. Zhang Xiaozhou pounded his foot, shouting, "It's too risky." The early part of 1946 was meant to be the most memorable time in Yan Hongliu's life. As she was preparing to sing Goodbye at the Hotel, her sworn brother Zhang Yuanfang suggested that Yan Hongliu find a better name. As the heroine of the opera was named Liu Fangying, Yan Hongliu renamed herself formally as Yan Fangying. Surprisingly, Yan Fangying's Goodbye at the Hotel was greatly appreciated by the audience from the first time she performed. The opera became the most important show of the troupe's repertoire, and whenever they put up a poster for this opera, the theatre would be fully booked. This year, Li Changchuan, a first-year student at the United Middle School of Liaoyi, Anqing City, became fascinated with Yan Fangying's opera.
我这个同学的话呢，迷恋于年凤吟，真是痴迷。年凤吟也人不太大，跟年凤吟也没见过面，但是呢，他是只要有机会，他就跑到去看年凤吟的戏。年凤吟呢，离开安庆了，是大同园去了，大同到安庆10几个小时，他可能礼拜六早上旷课。 半天跑着打票起早到大同去看年凤吟的戏，第二天又早上5点钟起来又打船回来，回来以后我们在教室里上自习。
国旗好，我好比贵妃醉酒。
In one of his articles, Zhang Li songwrote of just how crazy Anqing audiences were about Yan Fangying. When Yan Fangying was singing at a climax, the audiences who were familiar with the scene would ask the players of gongs, drums and erhu to stop so that they could listen to her singing without accompaniment. At such moments, the waiters who served tea or hot towels would all stop and the whole theatre would be quiet.
四季长久，切莫休黄帝草，有春无秋。
As the seasons changed, Yan Hongliu became Yan Fengying because of Goodbye at the Hotel. She could finally pack away her pleated skirts and have all of her costumes custom-made by famous tailors at Nanhang Tai Tailor's shop in Shanghai. But in the early Huangmei Opera troupes there was a popular saying to describe the sad fate of the artists. When going on stage were as brilliant as fire, when exiting the stage were as grey as ash. We ride on horses that never exist, and we drink from glasses that are empty. We wear silk, even though we live in poverty. When we get old, our final act will be begging for food. Unfortunately, Yan Fengying didn't escape such a miserable fate.
1946年秋天的一天，严凤英所在的班社，他的一个班主，因为遇到了纠纷，就请当时的国民党的一个军官来调停，来帮忙的。这个国民党军官带了几个手下来了以后，发现了唱小旦的严凤英长得非常漂亮，就起了歹意，就跟老板提出要收严凤英做干女儿，并且暗示以后要把她收为姨太太。
他就要寻死上吊，把门关了，目的敲门他也不开，然后再敲再撞，看着他已经这个吊在梁上了。这个事情闹大了，他的大队长上面还有县长，还什么的，还书记是吧？就国民党的书记，他就讲，你不在我们家等也可以，我马上给你赶走。赶走就是几条吧，第一条，不许你嫁旁人；第二条，不许你唱黄梅调。这两条犯了一条，老子就枪毙了你。这是严凤英在亲自对我讲的，把那个枪啊对着他这脑门来，我就给枪毙了你，然后就把他赶出来了。
我好比那楼旁的草，我哪有日子吃头？你好比那无言的水，不得长久。天为镜。
In the autumn of 1946, Yan Fengying decided to leave Anqing.
过气后，我好比风筝失手。过气后，妹妹好比烟落在古镇。